Okay, so a little bit change of environment here. We are actually in the house because one, it's really cold outside, and two, the studio isn't done yet. So we are actually just here on the couch. But we wanted to go over this fourth quarter of 2018 earnings call that we just listened to. We're gonna talk a little bit about financials, but not a ton because we'll leave that up to Ben and Gally and all them. But we want to go over more like the tech, the products, what's gonna be changing, not so much the financials.
Okay.
So
Talk about what they mentioned during the call
Yeah.
and what they didn't mention.
I
During
think
the
that
call,
that's
too.
the big one that we realized.
So basically, the call started out with Elon saying that last year, 2018, was the most challenging yet most successful year ever in Tesla history.
Yeah.
They produced more cars last year than they did in all other years combined. And they're expecting to keep this momentum going forward into 2019, and they hope to increase production by another 50% this year alone.
Yeah.
So they had another profitable quarter. That's 2 quarters in a row. It's another record for Tesla. But again, he expects to be a profitable company going forward every quarter. Elon also mentioned that in this quarter, one of their main goals at Tesla is going to be to improve the service experience. It's kind of lacked lately with the big ramp up and the massive number of deliveries and the massive number of customers. They haven't been able to keep up with those.
Yeah, and we've seen several YouTubers talk about it. We really haven't had any issues on our
Nothing
front,
ourselves.
but we've definitely seen the YouTubers talk about it, and there's probably a lot of people that didn't have their voice heard. So it is nice to see they're talking about expanding that, but also they talked about the mobile fleet, expanding that, which is going to be their easiest option. It's easy to scale vehicles. All you need to do is really put a mechanic in there to drive it, get some tools, but all that is relatively easy.
Elon did say that they've added like 27 new stores and service centers recently.
Yeah.
And now they're up to nearly 400 locations worldwide, but it's so much faster for them to bring up that mobile service by just adding a car and sending an employee out, and they're able to cover much larger regions with
And as a customer, if they come to me, that saves me time of having to go to them and figure everything out. So I'm all for mobile fleet.
And another thing Elon said that they're trying to make easier is the scheduling of the service appointments. He said right now you can do it via the website, and they also have it enabled via the app, but they're going to be adding some new functionality to the app. So instead of you having to type in your whole story of what's wrong with your car, they're going to have like the 10 most common issues of why you would be requesting mobile service and just let you quickly pick and choose and schedule that. He also did bring up something that sounded really cool, at least for major metro areas. Don't know how possible it would be in other more remote areas, but they're going to be making the cars part of this process themselves, so that if there's a problem with your car, it will instantly notify them. He gave an example that if you get a flat tire, your car will instantly contact Tesla's service, and before you even pull over for that flat tire, they will be dispatching a flatbed truck or someone with a replacement tire on its way to meet you. And I can definitely see that happening in bigger cities.
California, for sure. That would be great. But yeah, like, I don't know. It'd be smaller in the...
Not so much in other parts of the country, but
Yeah.
it was interesting. He said it was going to be like a default thing in these areas. So if you don't want them to come out and help you, you're going to have to click on cancel. Otherwise, they're sending a truck to help you out. Another thing he said, which they've kind of fell behind in the past, was on parts distribution. He said in the past, they've been storing parts in like regional warehouses around the country, and whenever some people have issues where they go in to get their car worked on, those service centers then need to order the parts, wait for them to be delivered to the service center, and then that delays or slows down the repair process.
Yeah.
But going forward, they're going to start storing a lot more of those parts right there at the service center, so you'll be able to come in, and if it's a minor thing and they have parts for it, they might be able to fix it right away within 15 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, should be quick and an easy out.
Another thing they're hoping to expand is something they added in late 2018, which is actually doing some minor body work right there in Tesla service centers. So you won't have to go to a Tesla-approved body shop. If it's something like you have a dent or something in your bumper, instead of having to go and wait weeks for the body shop to work on it, you can pull in, maybe get that replaced within an hour or two.
So yeah, it's super, super convenient. So a big thing we heard today too is Model Y, which I know a ton of people are anticipating. We are right there with you. He said they've already finalized it, which we already knew previously, but now they're starting to finalize tooling, get all that set up, and they actually said 3/4 of the parts are gonna be identical as the Model 3, which already is done, which is perfect. So that means they only have to come up with about 1/4 of them. Obviously the body is a huge one, but having 3/4 already done, I think will help accelerate that timeline.
Yeah, that also helps with cost, economies of scale and stuff, because they've already have the tools made for the Model 3, they can just churn out more of those parts instead of
Yeah.
having to design new ones, design new tools, and produce these new parts. So it's going to help greatly. They learned from the Model X. It was way too complicated. It was one of the best cars ever, but one of the most complicated cars ever. And they're just trying to keep it very simple with the Model 3
Yeah.
and the Model Y, and bring over what they learned with the Model 3 into the Model Y.
Yeah. Now, I think he said the Model X was the Fabergé egg
Exactly.
of
Yes.
cars.
Yeah.
So that
we
was
may
kind of
never see a
interesting.
car with that much
That complex.
again.
So,
But,
wow.
yes. So one thing Elon also mentioned about the Model Y is that they're planning on building it at the Gigafactory outside of Reno.
Yeah, I mean that's where they're building all their motors and everything.
A lot of the
Literally,
parts.
they can come almost right off the line, right into
Exactly.
the car,
So-
cut out a huge chunk of time and effort.
Exactly. That's exactly what he said. The parts will already be there. There's no need to ship them. They're already right there. Just start the assembly.
Yeah, I
so-
think that's a great idea. And also, for anyone in Reno, that means more jobs for you.
One thing too, he did announce that the number of orders they expect for the Model Y is expected to be 50 to 100% greater than what they experienced with the Model 3. And we know that the Model 3 already had an insane number of orders
Almost 500,000.
within a
plus.
couple weeks of them opening up to reservations back in
Yeah.
2016. They had like over 400,000 reservations, and they've sold over 100,000. I don't know the exact
yeah.
number, but they're expecting to sell much larger number of these because the crossover SUV market is the greatest or fastest growing market in the world right now.
I mean, I can speak for a lot of people that I've talked to. They want the Model Y more so than a Model 3 just for the sheer size of it and what they can do with it.
More flexibility.
More flexibility, which I want to say, like, we're almost in the same position. I think the Model Y would be a great addition.
Yep, exactly. And one other thing he did bring about, so not only will they be building it in Reno, but they're planning on building it in the Gigafactory in China as well.
Shanghai.
Once that gets online. They will be doing some Model 3s by the end of this year, but by the end of next year, they should be having the Model Y being built in China for the Chinese market.
Which, talking about that real quick, they just broke ground on that. And they're going to be building Model 3s there at a pretty good scale by the end of the year, which is nuts. He said he's getting daily updates on it, and they are just literally going to be building as fast as possible, which is great for Tesla's standpoint because I think Asian market is going to be huge for them.
Exactly, and it's still the rest of the world is still a huge market as well.
Yeah.
Elon mentioned that if the economy stays as good as it is, he expects the annual orders for the Model 3 to be over 800,000 Model 3s alone per year. If the economy gets worse, he still sees the demand to be 500,000.
Yeah, which is a very healthy number every single year.
And he does see that the Model S and X, those orders are going to be going down, but they do have a good margin on those, so that even though the sales will go down slightly, they're still going to be making pretty good money on the S and X.
So the next big thing that I was really looking forward to was a full self-driving update. As you know, I have paid for that on my Model S and my Model 3, so the sooner the better. And he talked about how it's already kind of going through its phases. They're doing a lot of testing, and basically it works 100% on highways. Right now you do have to hit the stalk to confirm lane changes, but it'll be soon in the upcoming weeks, hopefully, where you will be able to turn that off and it will do it automatically. So now we're just looking for more around town and in parking lots and such like that, which he also mentioned should be coming in the next couple months.
Yeah, he basically said that in their testing that they're doing, it's about 98% successful at being able to detect traffic lights and stop signs, and they can program some of those in, but then using the cameras and other sensors, they're able to detect those about 98% of the time. But before rolling that out to the general public, it needs to be much more reliable at 99.9999%.
I agree. I don't think they should roll it out at 98%. Not only would that not look great, but it also could put some people at risk. Yes, in parking lots you are going very slow, but it just wouldn't look great for the company.
So even with that though, he expects that they might be adding some of those full self-driving features later this year.
Yeah.
And also we should be expecting enhanced summoning capability coming out later this year, and that will allow you to perhaps control your car through parking garages and other parking lots and stuff like that.
That'll be epic. Can't wait to bring you guys those videos.
In addition to the Model Y, somebody asked about the pickup, and Elon mentioned that the pickup is expected to be unveiled later this summer.
Yep.
And he says it will be very unique and it will be very impressive. So we're looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on that though, because he said the Model X was the Fabergé egg, But he made a pretty high claim on the pickup. So I'm curious to see how that works out.
It'll be interesting to see how it compares to the Rivian truck, which was announced earlier.
Yeah.
Also, they did talk about the Semi a little bit more. They said it will probably be built right there at the Gigafactory in Reno as well, just because, again, the parts are there. And he said that any of the cars or any of the semis that they produce starting next year are all going to go towards Tesla's use, because they need to, ship cars across the country and parts back and forth between Fremont and the Gigafactory. So that first batch of trucks, who knows how many dozens or hundreds, will be used exclusively by Tesla before they start selling them to other buyers. And that will help them test them out.
Exactly. That's going to be a good testing period for them, get any kind of kinks out before they're delivering masses to like all these big customers that have reserved hundreds, if not thousands of them. So let's get into kind of like our last video that we did, where we kind of projected what we thought would happen. Because as we talked about, the Autopilot 4 hardware code is still in Europe, Canada, all over except in the US. It is not in the US yet, which perhaps they haven't started building US cars. I'm not entirely sure on that. Should be soon, but it's still there. I am surprised they didn't talk about it though.
I was surprised because people asked about the Autopilot software, but nobody asked about the Autopilot hardware.
Yeah.
And they've been talking for years that Autopilot 3 is coming out, and then it's coming out.
And they hired the chip makers.
And it's coming out in the early 2019.
Yeah.
Here we are, and no announcement. We're seeing signs of the hardware in the vehicles. There's signs of it in the wiring diagrams for the Model 3, and it only makes sense for them to have, if they're shipping the Model 3 to Europe, it only makes sense for those cars to already have the hardware in there.
To say on this, maybe they're waiting until like
they start Model 3 deliveries?
Yeah, until they deliver the first Model 3 deliveries, which technically that giant boat doesn't even arrive there till the 3rd.
On Sunday. It should be on February 3rd.
And then I would give them maybe 2 weeks because they ship them over there not fully assembled, because that's how the tax laws work. I don't know exactly, but they need to finish putting them together and then start delivering. So maybe a couple days before they start delivering?
Yeah, so I could see, mid-February we will start seeing some Model 3 delivery announcements, and maybe we'll be hearing about Autopilot 3 hardware.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but again...
It's in the code.
It's in the code.
It's in the wiring
website,
diagrams.
Which shows that it's assigned to those cars that are being ordered.
I was kind of bummed they didn't do that.
Yeah, so that was a surprise they didn't mention that. But another thing, no word whatsoever was about the supercharger network.
Yeah.
And almost every other call we've had every quarter before this, they talk about the supercharger network. And way back in 2016, they started talking about the supercharging version 3 network.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, it's delayed until mid-2018. Then in mid-2018, they said, okay, later this year. And then in November, they said early 2019. Yeah. It's almost there. And we can see they just made changes to the cars that are available. They dropped the 75 kilowatt
Dropping
hour.
the 75 and getting rid of the 100 kilowatt hour badging.
Exactly, and so now they're going to have standard range and the extended range,
Yep.
And by doing that, those cars will both have the same battery, but by having that same battery with different ranges, those will both be capable of doing an increased supercharging speed. I'm just hoping we hear about that version 3 supercharging sometime soon.
Yeah.
I've heard estimates or guesstimates that it could be at 180 kilowatts, which would be about a 50% increase over what the 90 and 100s can currently charge at.
Yeah, I think we'll do some digging and have a video coming up soon on that. I think we need to dig a little bit more.
So one last thing they talked about, which they did specifically say, is that there are no plans for the 2170 cells to be used in the Model S or Model X at this time.
Kind of bummed about that. They could do something else, but maybe they just don't need to.
Yeah, a little disappointed because we thought, it's been year after year, we keep hoping that the S and X are going to get those same cells, but we now know, again, not at this time. So the changes they recently made for the S and X have nothing to do with the 2170 cells. Okay, well that's pretty much it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you're looking for a Tesla, feel free to use our referral code. It's down in the description below. Pretty sure this will be the last time because it is going away. By February 1st, the referral program will be gone. So if you are looking at doing that, you can get 6 months of free supercharging using that code. And huge thanks to our channel sponsor, Abstract Ocean, for helping make all this possible. Definitely check them out. Use code TESLAINVENTORY at checkout for 15% off your first order. That's basically it. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Go ahead and click there to subscribe here for some more videos. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.